Hey, what's up everyone? It's KevinPhwap Boudreaux. It's been a while since I've done an update, so I wanted to let you guys know what I'm up to, how things have been going with me. Had a rough end of the year, rough end of 2012, went on a massive downswing at 2.5 Zoom. It's a $500 buy-in, filled with a mixture of like really tough people, some like decent regs, and then just like even the fish aren't terrible usually, but like if you can beat that game, it's awesome because you can make a ton of money and you can get tons of hands in. And also, like on the same point, like if you can beat the game, it means like you're a good poker player. And if you can't, it's like a good training ground because there's a lot of good games going. You get into a lot of tough spots against people, and you can't always just like game select and seat select. So you just kind of like are forced into situations. So it's kind of fun. But yeah, like I started off and it was initially like the first thing I said to Peter Jetton was like I feel good in the game. Like when I have my A game on, like I think I can beat this game. But like when I first started playing, I was like even skeptical if like my B game was tough enough to be a winner in this game. So come to find out, it wasn't. Like the games are tough. The games have progressed a lot in like the year and a half since I've been playing online poker full time. But having said that, like I've spent probably more time than 99% of the players out there in the past, like especially the past 2 weeks, but like the past 2 months, like I spent tons of time like watching training videos, like reading strategy articles, like watching poker, thinking about poker, basically anything I can do to get better, talking poker with my friends. Lucky enough, well, not lucky enough, like this is a big reason I'm in Toronto. So there's a lot of really smart poker players up here. Um, just to name a few, like Peter Jetton, Apathy, and then we also have Donnie Stern, Ansky. We have Scott Seaver, who just won the High Roller, and like being able to just like hang out with them on New Year's Eve and just like kind of talk to them for like 2 or 3 minutes here and there, just about like a spot or like just about not doing well in the games, and just like getting like these boosts of confidence from these players who you respect because they're clearly really smart, really good poker players, been around a long time. And now I'm staying with Sam Greenwood, who just like runnered up the million, and like he has two brothers that also play, and like just like a really good environment if you're trying to get good at poker. And like I understood it was going to be a little more expensive to live here than some of the other options, but I think the benefits far outweigh that. So, but yeah, I mean, I spent tons of time, tweaked my game. My A game's getting a lot better, and I'm like plugging my leaks, examining like the spots that I feel weakest in. Sorry, right next to the streetcar, but I don't think it's too loud that it'll mess up the video. But yeah, spent tons of time. Finally, started doing really well the past week. Like before, it would be like lose 10K, go on a 5K upswing, lose 10K, and I was just like, oh, like, are you a winning player in these games? Like, and that was the thing. Like, my confidence was shaky, and like once you start adding all these like different components of tilt into your game, it's really easy to go from a winner to a loser, especially in a tough game. So, um, yeah, like I've studied up, read the Mental Game of Poker. Recommend that to everybody. What else is going on? Yeah, just having a good time in Toronto. Just like hanging out here and there, but like mostly just like playing tons of poker and focusing on getting solid hours in. And I'm like really excited with like the potential of this year. Don't necessarily know if I'm going for Supernova Elite, but like my plan going forward is to like put in really solid volume that would like keep me close to on pace, if not ahead of pace, because like I don't know if I'm going to be able to play 12 months of the year. Like I don't know what like my traveling situation is going to be. I can only be in Toronto about 2.5 more months, 3 more months. So having said that, like the first 6 days, I got in 30,000 hands, which was my like exact goal. I think I beat it by like 1,000 hands. Played 1-2 Zoom, 2-5 Zoom, and then like 50 hands at 1-2, a bunch of hands at 2-4, 3-6, and basically I'm a winner at all the stakes, up like between 2 to 7 buy-ins at all the stakes. So like things are going very well. I took yesterday off, which is something I almost never do, especially when I'm in like grind mode. And it was something that Jared Townley recommended in his book, and the other things he said in that book have helped me so much to like analyze my game that I figured like I should listen to all these people that have like good advice, instead of just like always thinking I know what's best. So I hadn't been sleeping like a solid amount, so like I thought that was a really good idea. Came back today. Another piece of advice, just kind of like using a warm up instead of just like jumping into 4-tabling Zoom or like mass trying to find like good tables and playing Zoom. Just like woke up and 1-tabled Zoom, tried to find some good regular tables, and it was like kind of funny. Like I'm only playing 1 or 2 tables. I like realize like my brain's not working as well as it should be in these certain spots, and I'm like really glad I'm not playing more tables, because like I probably would just I'd probably just play through it, and that's like going back to like I'm making C game type decisions, which aren't terrible, but they're not winning plays. They're just like slightly losing plays or whatever. So yeah, like I decided to take a break. Like I'm up 2.5 buy-ins. Still got 1,000 hands in. Gonna watch a training video and then grind. I'm gonna play a bunch of hours tonight, and have been doing updates on my blog at KevinPhwap.com, and maybe I'll do these once a week. Like I think that's reasonable. Like won't take up too much time, and can splice in some graphs of how things are going. Like right now, bam. Could also talk about some interesting hands. So I know this hand off the top of my head because I've been thinking about it a lot. It was like it was the second to last stack that I lost at 3-6 on Sunday night. So I raised under the gun to 3x with about $700. Under the gun plus 1 calls, under the gun plus 2 calls, like hijack cutoff calls. And I think their ranges are a little looser than normal because the fish at the table was in the big blind. So I think it's a spot where, like, even though like I'm raising maybe slightly more hands because the fish is in the big blind, like they have a lot of hands that they want to play with the fish. So like I'm getting 3-bet a little bit more, getting called a little bit more, and I'm raising a little bit more. So like all the ranges are like slightly a little bit wider. Flop comes 9-7-2, rainbow with hearts. Checks to me, and I actually decide to bet here, thinking that like I block a couple combos of sets now, so have a set of 9s, set of 2s out there that just like have me crushed. I think it's unlikely that people like flatter me with aces or kings, so then like the ranges shrink down to like maybe queens and all those other pairs, some like combos of 9s, and also some straight combos. So I think by betting out, the people behind me will play pretty straightforward. Like they're not going to get out of line, and they didn't. They both folded, and the big blind called. So it's an okay result. Like I think his range now is mostly like pairs of 9s and some random straight draws, and maybe an underpair. Like I could see him if he had like pocket 5s, just being like, like I'm gonna call one. So he calls. The turn is a 2, and I think it's a spot where I race under the gun. I bet into a bunch of people, and even though he's a fish and he's probably not thinking about all this, like subconsciously, like he's got to be aware of it at least on some level. So I decided to bet again. Like if I didn't have the 7 blocker, like there's a lot more combos of or not a lot more combos. There's a couple more combos of sets. There's a couple more combos of like 9-7. And as it was, like I thought he could easily have like 10-8. He could have like even a hand like 10-9 that might fold to like this turn bet, just because I don't think it looks like I'm too light. Like if I'm betting here, like I could have straight draws over pairs, maybe ace king, maybe ace queen. Like if I'm just like trying to barrel off for whatever reason, and then maybe a hand like I have, or even like ace deuce suited, which made trips on the turn. So I don't think he check calls the flop with mini twos. So I think like it's not a great barrel card, but I was also pretty confident that it didn't improve his hand. So I bet out fairly large, and he calls, and the river's an ace. And at this point, it's pretty sure I'd fold out most of his straight draws on the turn, and was pretty sure he had a 9. And at this point, there's not very many combos of ace 9 because there's an ace and a 9 out there. And I thought if he had a hand like jack 9, queen 9, he might fold. So decided to shove my 7-8, which had like very, very small amount of showdown value. And he called pretty quickly with queen 9, so he got me good. I like keep flip-flopping if I think it's an okay play, and then I'm like, I probably didn't have to make that kind of play, but I guess you guys can tell me what you think. At some point I might post it onto Run It Once, which is a training site that Phil Galfond started. Highly recommend it, especially like the early content that went up there was mostly from the professionals and like friends of professionals on the site, so there's like a decent amount of good quality. So like I'll throw a link to that site. I will also be back in like a week to do another update. I'm like considering doing PokerStars home game. So I guess anybody that's still watching would be like the type of people that would want to play in that home game. So let me know if you guys would be interested in doing that. I don't know when the best time would be, but it would definitely like have to work around my schedule. Obviously, like at this point, like I'm trying to grind and make a ton of money and put in a ton of solid hours. So maybe like a Monday or something, and I could it would be a day off, but I would still just like play poker for fun. So let me know if you guys are interested in that, and I hope everyone had a good New Year's, and best of luck for the rest of the year. It's the year of science.